Our second featured talk tonight is from Geoff Schmidt, who has just crossed in front of me here. As some of you may know, Geoff is the CEO and one of the co-founders of Meteor Development Group. Tonight, Geoff is going to be giving us a look at what is next for Meteor. So everybody, please welcome Geoff.
All right, well, thank you all for coming tonight. It's the last Dev Shop of the year. We've had a big year, both as Meteor Development Group, the company, as a community, and for many of your businesses too. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to, at the end of the year here, to come together and reflect on that past year and think about the way forward. It's the end of the year, but we're already really excited about what we've got coming up next for early 2016, so I wanted to give you a sense of that. But first of all, I want to just take a step back and talk about why we're here, why do Meteor exist, why we're doing that, why we're doing this, why we're all in this room, and kind of look at the bigger context. So, you know, it's if we pull back and look at application development, a lot has changed in just even in the last couple of years. And this is not a little bit of incremental change like when we went to jQuery to Angular. This is a big shift. It's a shift on the scale of when we shifted from mainframes to PCs, or PCs to the web, or web to this new era that we call, you know, connected client sometimes. There have been about 4 eras in the history of application development. And you know, if the web was about hypertext, if it's about web pages connected with links and forms, we've seen this enormous shift away from that whole architecture where pages are rendered on the server and sent down to a web browser, to a world based on apps that are always connected to cloud services that have state on the device, that are synchronizing data over the web, that are delivering richer and more interactive experiences than we've ever seen before. And these apps need a new architecture. If we think about what we used to build the previous generation of apps, you know, there was ASP.NET, there was Rails, there was PHP, there was Spring, there was Django. There was all these platforms that were based on rendering HTML on the server, sending it down to the client where it's viewed in some kind of a web browser. And the problem is that none of these frameworks have any concept of the device. Like, they don't address how do we get data down to your phone, down into your web browser, how do we push code updates down here, how do we do reactivity. There are millions of developers that use these frameworks and these technologies, and Meteor is trying to answer the question, if we're among the millions of people that use these technologies, what's the path forward into the future so we can write these kinds of rich, interactive, modern, stateful, client-driven apps that our users and our customers are demanding of us. And the key to the whole answer to that puzzle is JavaScript. JavaScript is an amazing programming language. It was always designed to be easy to use, and it has come a long way over the last decade or whatever it's been. JavaScript is the best dynamic language runtime we've ever had because of the browser wars and how Google and Microsoft and Apple and Mozilla all invested so heavily in making JavaScript great. And thanks to the efforts of the JavaScript, the TC39 language committee, ECMAScript 2015 is the best JavaScript we've ever had. So we've got this language that is performant, that's really easy to learn, but that is also known by millions of people because it's been spread by the web, and also that works on a huge range of devices. So not only can I use it on iOS and Android and the browser, but also on the server and even in more and more of the Internet of Things platforms that we're seeing in the world. And so JavaScript's really special because it's the only language where you can write one set of code and target all those environments. It's even the only language where you can write one set of code, or have one code base that targets all the mobile platforms. So it's this huge opportunity to make application development as simple and as easy as it really should be. The problem, though, is that JavaScript is super fragmented. Most of the software in the world is written on top of .NET or Java, and these are communities or languages or frameworks or platforms where everything comes from one vendor, so you can get everything you need. You can get all the complete set of pieces, and they're all designed to work together. JavaScript's never had that because in the world of JavaScript, JavaScript originated just as a way to make things blink and scroll in the web browser, and everything that's happened in the JavaScript ecosystem has been super piecemeal. It's only recently that we're even getting to the point where you can use the same packages on the server and the client in JavaScript. Or even like use the same APIs on the client and the server to do basic things like fetching data. So the reason Meteor exists is we want to provide a complete integrated end-to-end experience for building apps in JavaScript. So we want to be for JavaScript what Sun was for Java, or what Microsoft was for the CLR, a complete integrated platform that has everything you need in one box, already made to work together and address that fragmentation that exists in JavaScript. So I go into these ideas in a lot more detail in my JavaScript State of the Union talk from a couple of dev shops ago that you can find on YouTube if you're interested in hearing more about all this, how all this fits together. But the bottom line is we've got millions of developers that need to write this new kind of application. JavaScript is the way, but to get JavaScript where it needs to be, we need an integrated platform that everyone can use to build applications quickly and easily without everyone having to reinvent the platform over and over again. So that's the motivation for Meteor. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. So let's talk about 2015 and what happened in 2015. I want to start by showing you a graph that I think is a pretty remarkable graph. Here it is. This is Meteor usage. So let's start over here. This was the biggest launch of all time on Hacker News. And if we run the clock forward, now we here are in 2015, and in a good month in 2015, we add more users than the total number of people that discovered Meteor during that biggest launch on Hacker News of all time. That's how fast the platform is growing. And it's just amazing to, I pulled these numbers going back to 2012. And this is unique developers using the platform in any given month, and it's based on IPs hitting the update server, which is why we have this data. But it's just amazing to see in particular how growth accelerated with Meteor 1.0, which happened right about here. So what you're seeing is how when we shipped Meteor 1.0 at the end of last year, that really is what unlocked professional production use of the Meteor platform and just really kicked the platform into an amazing level of growth. And of course, this is partly because Meteor is awesome. It's partly because just of the market for this new way of building apps. Because you're not going to use Meteor, what are you going to use? You're going to put together, you're going to have to put together a ton of different pieces. You're going to have to maintain that. So this is validation of the story I was telling you before about how there are millions of people that need this, and we're entering a point in time right now where this new way of building apps, where you write it in JavaScript on the client and the server, and you have good data synchronization between the client and the server, and you target all the platforms from one code base. This is validation that we're starting to reach that tipping point where it's becoming mainstream. It's not just the early adopters in San Francisco and at the cool JavaScript meetups checking this stuff out. It's everyone. Everyone needs it. So it's just been really exciting, sometimes pretty exhausting, sometimes pretty fulfilling and awesome to be able to do this with you. So okay, so if that's what's happened numerically over the year, what's driven that from in terms of the platform's evolution? Well, the other thing that we've done that I'm really proud of over the last year is we have brought a whole bunch of new technology and a whole bunch of new into Meteor and built bridges with a whole bunch of different communities around Meteor. So Meteor is one of the best ways to use the latest features of ECMAScript 6, aka ECMAScript 2015. We brought that into the platform. We shipped Windows support, bringing a whole new world of people that want to develop on Windows instead of on their Mac or on Linux onto the platform. And we shipped first-class AngularJS and React support. So if you don't have to choose between using Meteor's Blaze library and Angular and React. If you like writing in Angular, you're already using Angular, or if you love React, Meteor can provide everything else you need on top of that. What else did we do during the year? We announced our $20 million Series B. This gives us the capital we need for a good long time to keep building this platform, and the capital support you and your businesses. We grew from 20 to 35 people as a company, which has been super fun to see all the new faces around the office. We launched Meteor Developer Subscriptions. So this is professional support for Meteor and for your app. We built a whole professional services team to support this, and we can sell you commercial support for your application, so you have a vendor standing behind you as you build your application. We launched Galaxy. And here's Werner, the CTO of Amazon, at his keynote at AWS reInvent, and that's Meteor up on the big screen as one of his 2 examples of the latest cutting-edge technology on Amazon Elastic Container Service. And Galaxy has been a huge success on the Galaxy Business Edition. There are so many customers with production Meteor apps that have switched from Amazon or DigitalOcean or Modulus or Fusion Passenger onto Galaxy to get that great end-to-end hosting experience and that great end-to-end support for their Meteor apps. And we launched the Meteor Official Partner Program, and we signed up our 100th partner. There's an awesome ecosystem of people all over the world, not just in North America, but in Europe and Asia, that can offer you training, that can offer you support, that can build apps for you. It's been really amazing to see this community of professional developers that do Meteor as one of the services they offer in their shops, develop around the platform. And as a encouraging vote of confidence from Gartner, they gave us their Cool Vendor Award for the best application development framework, which is really exciting. It's driven by the increasing enterprise usage of Meteor that Gartner is tracking. So it's a pretty big year. I just want to give a round of applause for both everyone in the community and everyone at MDG that's worked so hard to make this possible. And together we built Meteor into this platform that has seen accelerating adoption, and it's just been an incredible year. So thank you, everyone. So looking forward, I want to talk a little bit about the company strategy and where we see the platform going, how we got here and what's next. So our goal has always been to build an end-to-end platform that gives you everything you need in one box to build your applications in JavaScript and have the support that you need both as an individual developer and a business to have the complete platform. So the first thing we did, this is Meteor 1.0. We got all the pieces together into one framework that you need so you can write your whole app with one integrated set of technologies. And then when we put next to that was the next piece of the puzzle, which is the developer subscription, so you can get support. And I know not everyone needs support, but for a lot of people, having your vendor standing behind your framework and being able to have someone to call is hugely important to make sure that there's someone that's got your back when you're building an application that you're betting your business on. And then a little while after that, we put Galaxy next to that, so we can also address how do you operate and scale this platform. And when you put all these pieces together, which is the result of years of work, Meteor is now the first and the only end-to-end platform for JavaScript. Together with the fact that our team is all over the world, we can offer you 24/7 by 15-minute support for your whole app. And we can have an end-to-end commercial relationship with your business and an end-to-end open source relationship with your developers. So it's been a long process to build all this, but we're to the point, as of really just last month, where it's all together, it's all working, not just the code, but everything around the code that makes Meteor into a complete platform. So what's next? 2 big directions. First of all, we're going to be broadening what we offer across that whole platform by offering you more and more value in each of those boxes. So that means more structure, more opinions, more package recommendations. So it's not just putting together all the pieces. So there are fewer and fewer pieces that you have to add yourself. So, and Sasha has a lightning talk in a second about the Meteor Guide, where you'll hear about one of the parts of that. This other thing is the JavaScript universe doesn't stand still. So in each of those boxes, there's always new technology that's happening. Meteor's close to 4 years old now, as you saw in that graph, but that doesn't mean that we stand still from a technology point of view. We're always going to be pulling in the latest and greatest stuff in all those boxes, whether it's Angular and React or ES 2015. So you always have the latest, freshest, most up-to-date platform. And this doesn't mean going beyond the cutting edge. It doesn't mean pulling in stuff that isn't ready yet. But it means always being on the forefront of JavaScript. So when you get Meteor, you're getting the best of JavaScript. These are the 2 big forks in terms of our philosophy, now that we've got the whole end-to-end platform together in terms of what happens next. And to talk a little bit about the business, in terms of how MDG makes money and supports the development of the platform, here's kind of a rough sense of how we see things going. So there's Meteor, the open source platform, and then there's the services that we put around that that may be useful to some people. You don't have to use the services. But to start with, we've got Galaxy, which is the hosting service. We've also got the support. What we see is there's a set of services that naturally are useful when you're building on a platform like Meteor, where because we built Meteor, we may be able to offer you a more useful Meteor-specific version of that service. So what you'll see over the coming months and years is more and more service offerings from us that go around the core open source platform, so you can have an end-to-end developer experience if you want to get all of that from one vendor. So what does that translate to in terms of our plans in 2016? I'll just give you the high level. We'll have a lot more to say about this over the coming months. But first of all, you can expect us to see us focus in pretty tightly on professional web developers, people that are, they come into the office and they build apps on Meteor, and that's really our focus, people who are building their businesses on Meteor. And there are professionals at all different levels of experience. There are new professionals that are just getting started. There are professionals that have 10 years of experience or more. But that's really our focus. Meteor is already the best platform to build apps quickly on the weekends, or to build apps if you don't have a lot of developer experience. But what you can expect to see is more and more value at the higher end of the scale, supporting professional developers and apps that you're using in production. Second, you can expect to see us continue to pull in technology from across the JavaScript ecosystem so that Meteor is always the best of JavaScript. And I don't have any specific announcements here, but we're super excited about continuing to invest in Angular and React. We think ES7 has some amazing new things that are going to be great for the platform. So for example, you can expect to see more and more work in the direction of things like ES7 async and await. GraphQL is something many of us are excited about. We're looking at GraphQL and thinking about how we can use it in the Meteor platform. Meteor 1.3 will bring closer integration with NPM, and over time you can expect to see more and more convergence between how Meteor does things and how NPM does things. And these are just a few of the things that we have in flight. We'll have more announcements over the coming months when we talk about what we want to do technologically with the platform. Another thing is we strive to become an ever more open company and build ever closer relationships with our community. For example, we built a customer advisory board where we have some of the top production apps on Meteor, people that we meet with on a regular basis to get their feedback. We are becoming more active on the forums and in making a bigger and bigger investment in working with you to understand what you're looking for and how we can give it to you. And you can also expect us to see us doing more work to make it easier to contribute technically to Meteor. When something's as big as complicated in Meteor, sometimes contributing can be a challenge. We want to make that easier. And as an example of this, you can see what we're going to be doing more and more of our design in the open as well. So a good example of this is the Blaze thread on the forum recently, where we posted a design. The beginning of a design at a much earlier stage, and I think we've had a great discussion as a community with lots of really active participation. We've talked about all the different angles about what we want to do in the view layer and how we're going to build the future of the view layer in Meteor. On Galaxy, developer plans we announced earlier this week. Man, it seems like a month ago, but it's amazing the number of people who have signed up for that. Far exceeded expectations. So that's going to be really exciting as we start to provision those accounts for all of you. The other thing that we hear loud and clear is that better APM support in Galaxy, the more that we can do to make Meteor-specific APM that really lets you dig deep into what's happening inside your application and really visualize how your app is performing, that's a huge way we can add value. The other thing you can expect to see for Galaxy is more deployment options. So right now, you can have it in any cloud you want as long as it's Amazon US East, but you're going to see more and more options about where you can run it, what cloud you can run it on, the control and visibility you can have into the way that it's running. So that's the direction for Galaxy. And then beyond that, the Discover Meteor is an amazing book that many people have learned from, and it's probably the best content for getting started in the Meteor ecosystem. We want to put next to that Mastering Meteor. How do you go from that first set of skills to really becoming, building ever larger, ever more complicated apps in ways that are more standard across the community, so that when you go to hire Meteor developers for your business, you can find people that already know the way that you do things. And that also means more guidance on best practices from us, more opinions, more content, more training materials, so you can build your teams with confidence. And And we're going to continue to grow our customer success and support team. This is, we already offer 24/7 by 15-minute support with our international team. We are going to continue to invest in that. It's going to be a really fun challenge to grow that with the rate of signups we're seeing on Galaxy, but our commitment to you is we will continue to make those investments necessary to give everyone the world-class support experience we're able to deliver today. And finally, for partners, we have 100 consulting practices signed up right now, but we want more than just consultants. We want trainers, ISVs, resellers. We want Meteor to be the best commercial platform to build your business on top of. So there are great opportunities on Meteor platform. You've seen what the growth looks like. You can kind of get a sense of how big the opportunity is around app development in 2016 and beyond when we think about all the apps that need to get rewritten, for this new world of devices. So come on in, the water's fine. We're going to keep on expanding this program and building more and more value into this program to support and enable our partners. So how can you help if you want to help us? I'd love for everyone here to be part of this. It's not something we can do alone. First of all, keep writing awesome apps and tell us what you want. We're here for you. We want to be your outsourced platform team. That's why we exist. We want to do the work that you don't want to do to make sure that you have a really solid platform to build your app on top of instead of having to put all the pieces together yourself. Contribute technically, ranging from writing packages to you're going to see more and more ways to make bigger and bigger contributions to Meteor Core as we kind of reorganize the project technically a little bit so it's easier for everyone to contribute. We'd love to have your help technically. And tell your friends. If you're having a great experience with Meteor, tell someone, blog about it, tweet about it. We love that. It's what drives the growth of the platform. I showed you that growth graph. That's organic. We do next to no marketing. That's just people telling their friends and said, I have a great experience on Meteor. You should check it out too. People building content and promoting on their websites. So I guess to wrap up, thank you all for being here. We do this for you. We're here because of you. And before I finish, I want to bring up my two co-founders, Matt and Nick, to say a word or two.
I don't have anything to add to Jeff's great presentation. I want to just say thank you. We've been doing this here in this room for 2.5, 3 years now. One of my favorite parts each month is just getting a chance to see, when you're an open source project, when it's all on the internet, being able to meet real people, hearing Tom's talk about his experience with Meteor and the success they had, and just seeing that in person has been really wonderful. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this movement, not just online, but in person. It's real people writing real software every day that motivates us and makes all this stuff work. Keep doing it. We'll keep doing whatever you need to be excited and successful. Thanks.
Hi. I also just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for using Meteor. That's what we're here for, right? We make Meteor to be used by real people, and that's what gives my work meaning, right? That's why I come in the morning, is to see what awesome stuff people are doing with Meteor, see how big an impact we can make on how many people's development journey, help people along, and just get more good software. So, thank you.
So I think we have lightning talks up next. I just want to end with one more round of applause for everyone who's contributed to the platform over the last year. And after that, and after the lightning talks, I'll be around for anyone who has any questions, and would love to talk to you about the platform and where we're going next and how we can help you better. So thank you.